I'm surprised we have a crowd here with the testimony that's going on in Washington, D.C., but I see each of you have got your phone out watching it live anyway. You'll see it again for the next week, 10 days, so you really won't miss much. Thank you for being here this morning. We're going to start out this morning with the presentation of the colors by the Tarrant County Honor Guard, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Burris and the invocation by Commissioner Hester. Would you please stand for the presentation of the colors?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day and for each blessing that you've given us. Lord, we ask that you be with us and guide us today as we make decisions and that they bring honor and glory to you. Lord, we ask that you be with the families of the officers that have been killed in the line of duty. Bring them comfort and peace as only you can. Be with our brothers and sisters that are outstanding the line every day. We ask for a hedge of protection around them and ask that you bring them home safely to their families. Forgive us where we fail you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I want to introduce the members of the Honor Guard. It's Sergeant Robert Robison, Corporal Charles Holland, Corporal Anson Tang, Corporal Eric Kotz, and Officer Jante Dixon. Thank you, guys. You may be seated. Ms. Wilson, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Joel Richardson.
Here.
Commissioner Pat Shekel-Hollingsworth.
Here.
Commissioner Jason Hester.
Here.
Commissioner Patricia Burris.
Here.
Commissioner Ron Hood.
Here.
Commissioner Kim Lamoe.
Here.
Commissioner James Oakley.
Here.
Commissioner Sharon Thomas.
Here.
Commissioner Tim Whitaker.
Here.
Thank you so much for doing that. You notice faces have changed up here today. We have three new commissioners. First, on my far right is Chief Kim Lamoe of the University of Arlington at Texas Police Department. Next to her is Sharon Breckenridge Thomas of San Antonio. She's the principal and owner of the Breckenridge Thomas Law Office. And then down to my far left, we have Mr. Tim Whitaker, a senior patrolman with the Houston Police Department. Please welcome the new commissioners. We'll move to agenda item number 2, which is the reading of peace officer or jailer deaths since the March 2nd, 2017 meeting, Mr. Mobley.
Assistant Chief Deputy Clinton Greenwood, 57, Harris County Constable Office, Precinct 3, end of watch Monday, April 3rd, 2017. Assistant Chief Deputy Clint Greenwood was shot and killed behind the agency's headquarters building in Baytown. He was shot from ambush as he arrived for work and was flown to Memorial Hermann Hospital where he succumbed to his wounds. The primary suspect in Chief Deputy Greenwood's murder committed suicide the following day. The investigators believe the man committed the murder in retaliation for Chief Deputy Greenwood's finding of no wrongdoing on a citizen's complaint. Assistant Chief Deputy Greenwood has served in law enforcement for over 30 years and had previously served with the Harris County Sheriff's Office, Harris County Precinct 4 Constable's Office, and Harris County District Attorney's Office.
Thank you. We'll observe a moment of silence. Thank you. We'll move to agenda item number 3, which is approval of the minutes of the March 2nd, 2017 quarterly meeting at Austin.
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any additions or corrections? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move to agenda item number 4. I want to remind everybody that the Achievement Awards ceremony is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. at the Capitol in the auditorium with a reception following that is hosted by the TMPA. Since we've got new commissioners, I'm going to appoint the committees a little bit differently this time. Our legislative committee will be chaired by Jason Hester, members James Oakley, Sharon Thomas, and Tim Whitaker. The audit committee will be chaired by Pat Hollingsworth, members Patricia Burris, Ron Hood, and Chief Lameau. And I would like to, if possible, we haven't had an audit committee meeting in quite some time, and so before our next meeting, perhaps on the Wednesday before, at around 3 o'clock, if you guys could have a meeting, and then Pat, if you could present a report at the next quarterly meeting. We've got 3 former commissioners here this morning. If you'd come up front for me, please, and Kim, if you wouldn't mind presenting their stuff. Rob Kiker, Joe Pennington, and Chief Ruben Viescas. Rob Kiker served from 2013 to 2015. He's from Richardson, Texas. He has been one of the very best ambassadors of TCOLE that I can think of that we've ever had. He speaks all over the state of Texas at various functions, many things. He's involved in all kinds of stuff, and every bit of it's good. I appreciate him. He's done a great job of serving this commission. Rob, thank you. Next is Joe Pennington. Joe served a 6-year term. He's from Jersey Village. He was appointed in 2009. He worked through 2015, and he gave us great contacts with many of the federal government people and has also been a great ambassador of TCOLE. Joe, thank you for your service. Chief Ruben Viescas of Pharr, Texas. He served a 6-year term, 2009 to 2015. He has been a great ambassador for TCOLE with the Chiefs Association. And always when the Chiefs have a concern, I knew that I could count on Chief Viescas to pass that on to me and to Kim. So thank you guys, each of you, for your wonderful service to the state of Texas. Thank you. Rob Kiker asked for a minute at the mic, and he can have it anytime he wants. Thank you.
Maybe up on the mic.
I don't know that I'll need one. Can you hear me okay? If you can't, raise your hand in the back.
They can online.
Thank you. Can you hear this?
Turn it on.
Turn it on.
Can you hear this? Yeah. Highly technical, not my field. Sheriff Richardson, commissioners, those of you who serve and those of you who have served, I must tell you that this has been the greatest honor of my lifetime. I've grown to know you and love you. You see, our sworn officers across the great state of Texas, they don't love what they do because of the sharpness of this sword, or the swiftness of the arrow, or the glory of the battle. I've learned they only love that which they defend. And those that have paid the ultimate price to put protection of others above themselves. We owe a great debt of gratitude. So commissioners, new commissioners, I give you this charge. Protect the quality and integrity of this great profession in this great institution. And may each and every one of us that are here today and across the state and those listening in on the internet, may you live a life worthy of their sacrifice. Bless you. May God continue to bless you, and through you, bless the great state of Texas.
Where's that open mic?
Where's that open mic?
I cannot be as eloquent, and at the risk of being a member of the Mutual Admiration Society, I've got to dittos what Rob said. And Sheriff, thank you for your leadership all these years, for sure. And I couldn't let Rob have the final word.
We knew
Thank
that.
y'all. But I ditto and double ditto what Rob said.
Thanks, Commissioner. That's kind of tough to follow. Okay, well, I know we're somewhere. We will now have the Executive Director's report. Chief Vickers, Director Vickers, excuse me.
Good morning, Commissioners. It's good to see you this morning. Most of the information, the normal information, is in your report: budget status, criminal misconduct quarterly report. We've had one contract training provider approved since the last meeting. That's Hemphill County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff, you mentioned it, and I'll reiterate, we really want everybody to try to come to the Law Enforcement Achievement Awards ceremony tomorrow at the Capitol. We give awards for valor, professional achievement, and public service. One of my absolute favorite days of the year that we get to do that, and I'm looking forward to that. So we really hope that everybody can be there. One staff change I wanted to tell you about. We have one new person working with us, Tom Bickers, and I know that's very confusing. Tom is a field service agent working up in the I-20 area between West Texas and Dallas-Fort Worth area. He began his law enforcement career with Tyler PD in 1977. Of his 38-year career, he spent the last 25 in higher education law enforcement as either an assistant chief of police or chief of police. He retired from the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center Police Department, where he retired as the chief of that agency. In addition, he retired from the U.S. Army Criminal Investigations Command as a master sergeant, where he was an accredited federal agent. He completed 2 combat tours. Tom has a Master of Science degree from the University of Houston and was in Class 185 of the FBI National Academy. if you get the opportunity, please take a moment to welcome him. He's a good addition to our staff. He's going to do a great job for us. That's all I have at this time. We have some more to talk about, but I think it comes up later in the agenda, so I'll leave it there. And in case you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer anything that you have.
Okay, commissioners, any questions about director report?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Hester.
Director, I was looking at the budget report on this. I'm assuming this had some. On our line item for the other personnel cost and also for, it looks like that we're reaching pretty close to our threshold.
Yes, sir.
Could you, I know there's probably some anomaly with that maybe you could give us some light to.
Most of that fund covers longevity pay, vacation payouts, and especially for terminating employees. Plus, we have to come up with 0.5% of all salaries for retirement contributions the state requires us to do. What has happened there, as you know, we've had some people leave over the last year, and when they leave, they've requested a payout on vacation and sick time, and that has to come out of that balance. So we've lost more than we thought we would. That line item is close to hitting 100% spent, but we're in good shape on it. And there's if we get into the end of the year, into the fiscal year, and that is going over, it's real easy to cover that through other areas where we have excess. So we're in good shape. Go ahead.
The other one I had was on the capital expenditures where we had an increase in the March expenditures.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what?
Yes, sir. Our whole capital expenditure budget line item is generally for IT items, IT-related items. So you'll notice that it goes 0, and then in October we hit $6,000, then 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then we hit that 15. That's when we make a major IT purchase. We have come light years in trying to ensure the integrity and security of our whole network system. And it's been expensive to do so, but I think that it's going to pay off well in the end. And that was a purchase that we made to try to further that.
All right, thank you. My other question I have is on the training academy provider applications since March. Have we had any more movement on our underserved areas, in particularly West Texas?
Yes, sir. We were trying to help with West Texas especially. There are a couple or 3 areas of the state we'd really like to do some work on to help the underserved areas as far as police training. We were all geared up and getting ready to help start an academy in the Fort Stockton area when Midland College stepped in and said they would like to take that over and try a run at that. And that was very acceptable to the people in that area. So we backed off to let them follow through with that. It's been a few months. And we're coming up on a time when we need to probably check back on that and see how they're doing and see where they are on that, because we're prepared. We understand the limitations that they have in West Texas as far as time and space and trying to get training done, especially academy training, and we are prepared to go in and help there. But we wanted to give them a fair chance to make that work. They really wanted to try to do it through Midland College. So we let them take that effort over for the time being. There are a couple of the other areas in the state where we're working with different agencies and entities. What we're beginning to try to encourage, and we're seeing some response, when you have areas, because of the limitations on who can have an academy, it has to be a certain size or larger, and that's a fairly decent-sized department. We are working toward building some consortiums between agencies where they work together. Now, that tends to be a little bit problematic sometimes because if you have multiple chief administrators, they don't necessarily want their people trained exactly the same way. And if they're trying the consortium, I've seen that kind of blow up a little bit. But I think we can make it work, and we've got some areas in the state where we're actually doing that. We've got a real team building effort going with it that's going to open up some doors, I think, for some other areas with the veteran and the special forces training issue that has been around. And we've got several entities coming together in North Texas to work on that. So I think it'll be kind of a model for what we can do with some other areas. So we're making some headway on it.
Okay. On, a couple of meetings ago, we had a rule presented before us on the academic alternative
Yes, sir.
providers, and what, I know that y'all are gonna be working with specifically ACC and kind of shoring that up to make sure everything was good. Can you give us an update on that?
Yes, sir. We, ACC took the main brunt of that and said they'd run with it. They have been working on that. I think we should be reaching culmination on that. If things are working very smoothly right now, we're back to a point where we're okay with that. They have not delivered to us a final product yet on crosswalks. I don't know all the terminology in academia as well as maybe I should, but I think the crosswalks between different courses and it's a big task. So we've given them some latitude because they have to go to almost every criminal justice program in the state and compare courses, and that's what they've volunteered to do, and we're allowing them to do that. And we've checked in with them a couple times. Things are going well, but it's just a big task. So we're trying to give them the latitude to make sure they do it right. And so that is progressing well, and hopefully we'll hit some sort of resolution on that very soon. I will check in on that to see where we are and let you know.
Okay, thank you very much. I have nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other commissioner have a question of the executive director? We'll move to the operation director's report. Mr. Hellenberg.
Good morning, Commissioners. Most of my report will be centered around noncompliance, as that's the hot topic at the moment. We've completed sending noncompliant warning notices to the agencies for their peace officers, reserve licensees, and their deputy constables. Those initial round of warning letters included 23,475 peace officers that needed training as of the 1st of May. And so that number is coming down every day as agencies are working to get those officers into compliance. We've also notified the sheriff's departments that we've got 3,500 jailers that still need their cultural diversity training. And so those numbers are starting to come down. Telecommunicators, we still have 2,000, just roughly 2,000 telecommunicators that still need their telecommunications training. And that's a new requirement for this unit since they became a license. We have the credentialing phone calls, and the workload on credentialing is going up because of the noncompliance. And since the last commission meeting, our credentialing division has handled 13,000 phone calls, which, if you do the math, it comes down to about 45 calls a day into the queue. With each of those calls lasting, 2 to 10 minutes long, it doesn't take long to fill up a day of our credentialing staff. So those phone numbers or those phone calls are still going up. As an agency, with all of the queues, with enforcement and IT, we've handled roughly 15,000 phone calls in the last 3 months. So. In addition to noncompliance, we have our third group from the U.S. Embassy in Mexico coming for their the last group coming for a visit to learn about Texas law enforcement and how agencies go about training. That group will be here next week, Monday through Friday, and we look forward to having them. The last item I have is the background committee. We had talked about the background committee putting it together. It's been appointed. And those notices have gone out to the chief administrators that have members on that, asking for permission to use their people for that committee. I suspect they will meet this month or the 1st of July.
Okay.
Unless you have any questions, that's all I have.
Questions? Comments? Director.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. If y'all would allow me one quick second, I need to brag on my staff for just a minute about that. Many people have no idea about what we've been doing with these contingencies, these officers from Mexico, very, very high-ranking law enforcement officials from all over Mexico. And we were kind of just thrust into that position without any warning. And once we found out, kind of were asked to come in and talk to them about it, all of a sudden it was determined that they had counted on us to run it for them, and we had no advance warning on that. And my staff jumped up and ran with that, primarily Director Hellenberg and Chief Antu jumped up and ran with that. We've now run 2 of those groups. The second one, I spent quite a bit of time with. We take them to various places around, show them different, we show them the Williamson County Sheriff's Office and their jail. They took them to UT System. They've taken them to different places to show them United States law enforcement, answer questions. They have to bring State Department's part of it, bring interpreters. It's a big deal. And the results and the reviews have been, to say they're outstanding is an understatement. And they have just lauded my staff, the State Department, saying what a tremendous job they've done to put this together and organize it. And the officials from Mexico go back just beaming and excited. And I didn't want to pass up the opportunity to let you know how successful that has been and what a great thing that does for Texas law enforcement and for the United States law enforcement, that they've made that work so well. So as he said, we've got our 3rd group coming in. I would, if you have any time to come down and talk to them, I think you'd be amazed talking to these officials from Mexico, law enforcement officials, and we're talking the very upper echelon of all law enforcement, and Mexico has been part of this. It's been amazing, and so I would invite you, when this next group is coming in, if you have any time, I think you would love to see how that works and how well that system is working. And I just wanted to let you know how well they've done on that.
Good, thank you. Next, we'll have the Government Relations Director report. Ms. Grigsby, you only thought the legislative session was over.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, as you mentioned, the 85th regular session has concluded. That happened on Memorial Day. You might have heard that things got a little bit interesting at the end. There were 59 bills throughout this regular session that were filed that had a direct impact to TCOL. In the end, only 8 of those were passed. The governor's veto period actually ends on June 18th, so there's always the possibility that that final number will change. I don't anticipate that happening with any of these. These include 4 bills that require new training. Fortunately, a couple of those are already in existence. It just put them into statute, and so the committees that will work on those will have a little bit of tweaking to do, but no major changes. One bill actually does require new rules, so those will be presented to you at the September meeting. The budget was finalized over the last weekend of session, and as you know, all agencies were required to present their plans for a 4% decrease of their budget. In the end, we sustained just shy of $120,000 decrease over the biennium, which amounts to about 1.6%. So we will continue our operations as planned. We'll have to tighten our belt just a little bit, but we aren't going to have to lose any staff or major programs or anything like that. As you mentioned, the special session was announced that will begin July 18th. It does not appear at this time, based on the governor's agenda, that any of those items will have anything to do with TCOL. So we will get to continue implementing the bills that passed, and we'll await any further direction from the governor should that happen. Otherwise, that is the end of my report, unless you have any questions.
Okay, questions, Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Hester.
not any questions for Director Grigsby specific, but going back, what other committees do we have that are going right now, and what is the anticipated rollout time of what they're working on?
The Commissioners, the Peace Officer Committee is working currently. They're expected to have a draft product out for review in August, so we should have something to present at the conference in October. The other committee, the Background Committee, is working. The Jail Committee is currently working. Some of those committees have been pending the legislation change for de-escalation training and crisis intervention training. We have a Peace Officer Skills Curriculum Committee that is working as well. We have the Standing School Marshal Committee that is working to update the school marshal training. There are a few changes out of this session. And then we also have the State and Federal Law Update Committee is underway working for the new laws that have just changed and will be pending special session laws as well.
And so for most people, I think, that are here and probably watching, the thing that probably interests them the most is the BPOC committee. And so is the anticipation, like we've done it in the past, where we announce it and roll everything out effective January 1?
Yeah, we're not looking at a January 1 rollout for sure. As the draft comes out in August, and then we present it in October, you're looking at a mid-year next year changeover for the BPOC.
Okay. Thank you. I have nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioners, other questions?
Chair, I would like to ask Director Grigsby, can you, for the audience's knowledge, can you tell them what bills are going to affect the training that you mentioned?
Yes, absolutely. So House Bill 34 establishes eyewitness identification training for those that are involved in eyewitness identifications as designated by their agency. Senate Bill 42 was the court security bill that was named for one of the judges here locally that was attacked at her home. And so there will be some training required for those that are providing security at the courtrooms. Senate Bill 30 will require some civilian interaction training. That's something that was a priority of Senators Whitmire and West, and that has passed. And then Senate Bill 1849 was the Sandra Bland Act, and so that will require, in addition to the CIT in the basic peace officer course, it will require some de-escalation training for members of the public, not specific to those experiencing a mental health crisis. And then it will also require some mental health training for jailers, both in the basic jail course and then for existing jailers to get some training on that.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the reports.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
and a second to accept the reports as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're going to move to agenda item number 5, which is discuss and take action to approve the recommendations for the Law Enforcement Achievement Awards. Director Vickers.
Commissioners, you have in your packet the names of the proposed recipients for the Law Enforcement Achievement Awards. I know this is seems a bit awkward to me to come in now after we're this deep into it, but because of the timing on the way things works, it's just the way it has to be. But we can't move forward totally into tomorrow without your approval of them. So I submit those names to you. They're in your packet for your approval to move forward on the award ceremony.
Motion.
I move that we approve the names that are on the list for the Law Enforcement Achievement Awards.
Second.
Have a motion in 2 seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move to agenda item number 6, which is receive items of interest and take action if necessary. I know that Commissioner Burris had asked to make a presentation, so I'll turn it to Commissioner Burris.
I'm going to yield my time to those with more knowledge than myself. I'll leave it to the experts. But I have invited Aaron McGann and Sean Hanna. Aaron's going to be the one to speak. Sean is in the very back of the room. And just to let you know a little bit about them, Aaron is the Justice-Involved Veterans Coordinator for the Veterans Mental Health Program at the Texas Veterans Commission. She's worked in the criminal justice field for more than 13 years. She taught GED classes in the Denver County Jail and was a parole officer in Austin, and also in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Reentry Division. Aaron is currently working with state agencies to create trainings for all people working with justice-involved veterans, meaning veterans who have who are in the criminal justice system. And Sean Hanna is the Senior Director of Veteran Engagement at the Meadows Mental Health Policy Institute. Sean spent 8.5 years from 1991 to 2000 as a U.S. Navy hospital corpsman. While stationed at 1st Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalion, 1st Marine Division, Sean deployed to multiple international locations and saw combat action in support of Operation United Shield Somalia in 1995. Since his military duty, Sean served as director of the Veterans Mental Health Program at the Texas Veterans Commission. There, he worked with the Texas Department of State Health Services to co-create and coordinate the Military Veteran Peer Network, which you all might be familiar with, throughout the state of Texas as part of the Veteran Mental Health Program. And I invited them to come today, one, to get to know the commission and hopefully meet some of you all. And specifically, there's a course that we offer, which I was not aware of. It's course number 4067, and it's related to veterans and mental health, and this is so relevant right now. We're finally talking about these issues a lot, and if you guys have heard me, these are two of the things that I champion on the commission. So with that being said, I will yield the floor to Erin.
Thank you so much. Is this thing on?
It's
Yes.
on.
Okay, sorry. Thank you so much for letting me come and speak today about the TCOL Training 4067. It's called Trauma Affected Veterans. It was passed by the 84th Legislature. It's House Bill 1338, and it indicates that the Texas Veterans Commission would collaborate with state, local, and federal agencies to create this 24-hour free training. The training it covers military culture, PTSD, traumatic brain injury, military sexual trauma, and moral injury, as well as the comparison of police culture with military culture. And then on the last day, we have scenarios to utilize the tools that you've used in the training. The training is set up so that the TCOL trainer can pull the training right off the shelf and go forward and train it. However, we at the Texas Veterans Commission have the Military Veterans Peer Network, which Sean Hanna helped develop. And we like to be involved with that because our coordinators and our volunteers can assist with the trainings. They can also give lots of information about combat experience and other experiences that they have had in the military. So it helps flesh out the training and give people a good idea of what a veteran may be going through when they are pulled over by the police or the police are called out to a home for some sort of disturbance or something. The MVPN coordinators can also then link with the local police officers to assist them in the future if they need any assistance working with a veteran or helping veterans just get services in general. Our MVPN coordinators work with all veterans, regardless of their discharge type or the length of time that they were in the military. So we're sort of filling in that gap there. We currently have trained 250 police officers of the 80,000 that we have. My goal is to train them all, so I hope you will all help me get the word out and help me get those folks trained. We do have 2 trainings this month, one at Weatherford College, which starts on the 20th, and one in Tyler, which starts the Monday of the following week. I am able to set up trainings anywhere in the state for any police departments, sheriff's departments, law enforcement agencies of any kind that would like to come. And I've got my business cards back here, so I'm happy to link you with the local folks and get those set up and get your officers trained if you have officers that would like that kind of training. It is a free training. We do the support for free. Sometimes colleges may ask for a stipend for renting out a room or something like that, but that's a separate training or a separate cost. So that's we really want more people to take this training. Officers have responded very positively. They've indicated that this has been very helpful to them afterwards. Almost all of them have used it right away after they've gone out of the class. The only 2 complaints we've had is that it's too long and that the room is too cold. So I feel like we're doing well with the training. Do you have any questions that I can answer?
What is the length of the course you're training?
It is a 24-hour training, so it lasts for 3 days. It's 2 days of classroom training, including videos and conversation, and then the last day is scenarios.
All right, other comments?
So being one of the public members on this commission, I'm often reminded by my officer friends, chief friends, sheriff friends, that free is better. Please do not give us any more mandates without giving us money, and some of that, we can't control that comes out of Austin down the road. But this is something that, like I said, interests to me and is free, and so it'd be great to help spread the word and hopefully get more officers trained. So, thank you, Erin.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Commissioner Burris, thank you for bringing her in. It's very good information. Thank you very much. Commissioner Hester.
Commissioner Burson, one of the things you might want to maybe get with the director about is having a presentation on that at the Training Coordinators Conference. That's going to be the place to get all the trainers in one place to be
It's an
exposed.
excellent idea. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, we will move to the second part of number 6, which is accreditation issues. Director Vickers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, I requested this time on the agenda to address a topic that we've addressed before, but it's been a while, and I just wanted to try to make sure that we are still acting in the direction that you would like us to go. Commission Rule 211.1, which is the definitions, references colleges and universities that are accredited by one of the regional accrediting institutions. Now, I think before we get into this discussion, which won't take very long, but it's important to understand what we're talking about is what college hours are we as a commission willing to accept to give officers or licensees training points for the crossover from their college hours to actual training points like they had said in a continuing education course. They are in no way intended to try to direct any agencies or anyone else in the state on what they want to accept for college credit. It's just simply what this commission has chosen to use as the standard for what we will accept for people that want to exchange college hours or translate that into training hours. Generally, there are 3 types of accreditors in the United States. They're regional accreditors, national accreditors, and specialized and professional accreditors. Historically, in deciding to accept college credit hours, the Commission has elected to accept hours and degrees issued by institutions that are accredited by one of the regional accrediting institutions. That decision in the past has been made due to the in-depth accreditation process that these colleges and universities are required to complete to become accredited. Regional accreditation is considered the gold standard of college university accreditation, and as it requires a complete all-around education rather than a specialized, more occupation-oriented education in order to obtain. Over the years, on an ongoing basis, we get an occasional request to re-examine that requirement on our part. With the hundreds of institutions that offer degrees around this country, there are licensees taking college hours at a wide variety of these types of institutions. And with a significant number of online institutions available, this variety has continued to grow. Now, please don't hear me say there that there's anything substandard or secondary about an online degree, as there are many, many online degree programs that are offered at regionally accredited institutions. I don't think you'd ever see any of us at the Commission discouraging the obtaining of education hours across any platform. However, we've historically maintained that regionally accredited standard, that regionally accredited standard is the standard we want to have for hours we're willing to recognize as training hours for a licensee. Well, in the last couple of weeks, we've had another inquiry about that stance, and as I started to provide the usual explanation to that licensee about what we accept and not accept, it hit me that it'd been a while since we'd had this discussion with you, and I felt uncomfortable speaking on your behalf, saying this is what the commissioners have said the standard that we're going to set when it was 10 years since the last time, or many years. Last time we could actually find it, an actual discussion in the minutes was 10 years ago. I think we've talked about it a couple of times since, but the last full time it was addressed that we could find was 10 years ago. So I felt it prudent to bring it to your attention to determine if you, the commissioners, still wish to adhere to the same standard that we historically have used, or if you want to revisit that. If you want to revisit it, we don't have to get into that long discussion today. If you want to stay with where we have been, this is a quick and easy discussion, and we'll just move on and stay. But as an item of interest, I wanted to see if you wanted to look at that any more in depth, or if you were comfortable with our historical stance on where we've been on accreditation issues.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Hollingsworth.
Director Victors, and we have had that discussion, and I think that generally speaking, most of us kind of approve of the gold standard because we felt that it was appropriate that we have a high standard for our licensees, and personally don't think that we need to change that. And we've seen in some cases some of those agencies who have given credit hours, and then the federal government come back in and say, it isn't appropriate. And if we're crediting them hours and they can't get accredited in a SACS approved or one of the gold standard educational institutions, I don't know that we need to lower our standard. Personally, I don't think we need to lower our standard to accept that.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioners, any other opinions on it?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Hester.
some of the things that I've heard, Director, is specifically with the U.S. Department of Education, Higher Education Coordinating Board, that if they recognize it, why is it not good enough, right? And so let's just take the one that was approved for a long time that used to be in our building by the Higher Education Coordinating Board, right?
Yes, sir.
I think when they look at that, and then I may be wrong on this, and if I am, correct me, those institutions that are in by the U.S. Department of Education are what people are eligible for federal benefits to use their federal benefits for. It has nothing to do, it has partial to do with accreditation, but it doesn't have anything to do with the gold standard that we speak of with one of the regional accrediting agencies. Am I correct in that?
That's my understanding, yes, sir.
Okay.
I believe you're correct.
And so I'm in agreement with Commissioner Hollingsworth. I think we need to stay where we're at. It doesn't preclude any agency or anybody else from accepting those as part of a requirement to come to work. The only thing it means is it just won't become part of their training record.
Yes, sir.
But an agency can choose to accept or not accept whichever one they want based on their current policy.
Yes, sir.
Other comments? Rather than call for a motion, I'll just call that direction to you.
Thank you, sir.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
All right, I would love to move to agenda item number 7. However, I think in about, if everybody could be back in their seats about 10:35, that'd be a good time to take it up.